you, Trump. Thank you, Trump. Thank you. Thank you, Trump. Thank you, Trump. Thank you, Trump. Thank you, Trump. Thank you, Trump.
What a sight. That's hundreds of Iranians, or better, Persian Americans, who've been rallying outside the CPAC convention this weekend in Grapevine, Texas, showing their support for President Trump and Operation Epic Fury. I mean, between the massive surge in support among Venezuelan, Cuban, and Iranian-Americans, I think we now know why MAGA is currently bigger than it's ever been. Have you seen the latest polling? The latest YouGov polling shows that more than 63% of Republicans see themselves as MAGA. That's up from 57% in 2024. All the polls are showing that MAGA is growing, not shrinking. And we could see it right there at CPAC. I mean, who would have ever imagined scenes of Iranian Americans rallying together by the hundreds chanting, "Thank you, Trump. Thank you, Trump." I mean, it's absolutely astonishing. We ain't seen nothing yet. Speaking of astonishing, within just hours of Trump's announcement that he was going to sign an emergency order to fund all TSA agents immediately, every single Senate Democrat caved. Every single one. The Senate passed a TSA and DHS funding bill by unanimous consent, meaning not a single senator, Democrat or Republican, objected. It was an astonishing shutdown implosion. The Democrats bent the knee to fully restore funding to the TSA, and they did not get so much as a shred of their demands for hampering ICE officers. They got nothing. This is what a total and complete unconditional surrender looks like in the Senate. It was absolutely astonishing. I mean, the headlines say it all, right? Hot air. Dems throw in towel on Schumer shutdown too. We've been there, but we've been here before, right? Or here's a town hall. Dems hope for mayhem with ICE agents at the airports has blown up in their faces. Guy Benson tweeted out, quote, 41 days of shutdown during which 4 jihadist attacks took place. Thousands of travelers were badly inconvenienced and many federal workers didn't get paid, all to achieve absolutely nothing. Oh, but they fought. He went on, quote, yes, although Democrats didn't actually achieve anything, they caused a 40-plus day shutdown and ended up getting zero policy changes to the agency they're demonizing, which has been funded the entire time. And the Republicans say they'll fund that agency further through reconciliation anyway. Well, I guess the win was causing the harm and pain without really getting punished for it and showing unity in resistance. Well, the one win the Democrats are desperately trying to spin out of this is that they effectively shut down funding for ICE. ICE isn't getting a penny for from these funding appropriation bills. But of course, if you know anything about this, that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. And that's because ICE's funding has been front-loaded up until the year 2029. ICE is swimming in more money right now as we speak than the department has ever had, and it'll do so for the next 3 years. So there's no win in this for the Democrats at all. There's no way to spin this. They completely and totally and unconditionally caved. And it's all because of that genius political move by Trump. And they recognized it right away. To their political credit, they knew that the optics were catastrophically self-defeating for the Democrats on virtually every level. They knew that if they tried to stop Trump from following through with his executive order, if the Democrats went to federal court to try to prevent unpaid TSA agents from receiving their paychecks, it would have been a public relations disaster. There'd be no spin that could survive those optics. Moreover, it would have confirmed Trump's entire framing. right? Trump's True Social post explicitly branded Democrats as siding with criminal illegal aliens over the American people. So a lawsuit to block TSA pay would have been Exhibit A for that framing. It would have been Exhibit A that framing was absolutely correct, that Democrats were willing to keep airport workers in financial misery, all in order to protect illegal migrants. It would have handed Republicans a dream campaign ad running nonstop all the way through the 2026 midterms. Oh, and on top of all that, it would have fractured the Democrat coalition, unions, including AFGE, which represents federal workers. They'd been loudly demanding TSA agents get paid. Suing to block their paychecks would have been a direct stab at organized labor, which is traditionally one of the Democrat Party's core constituencies. Not really anymore. They've more or less sided with the Trumpian MAGA Republican Party. This unanimous Senate capitulation within literally hours of Trump's announcement suggests Democrat leadership understood exactly this calculus. Once Trump announced the executive order, their leverage didn't just evaporate, it actually inverted. Every hour they held out after that post made them look worse. That's 4D chess in its most brilliant and virtuosic form. But at an even bigger level, what Trump just did there is part of this extraordinary restoration of constitutional powers. For decades, really since the New Deal era of the 1930s, the executive branch of the United States government has been slowly hollowed out. The power that Article 2 of the Constitution explicitly vests in the president was being quietly transferred piece by piece to an unelected bureaucratic apparatus, a vast administrative state of agencies, departments, and regulatory bodies that answer to no one, are voted for by no one, and can be removed by almost no one. It was often termed as the fourth branch of government, a shadow form of government that had no constitutional authority. Article 2 of the Constitution is breathtaking in its clarity. It says that the executive power, all of it, shall be vested in a president of the United States for whom every single voting person in the nation votes for. He's the only political figure that everyone votes for. And all executive power is therefore bestowed upon him, not the EPA, not the Department of Education, not in a network of career bureaucrats in permanent federal employment that are accountable to no one. The president, one person, directly accountable to the very American electorate that put him in the office in the first place. But somewhere along the way, Congress got comfortable delegating its own authority to these unelected agencies. And those agencies got comfortable delegating presidential authority right back to themselves. And the result was a Gordian knot of regulatory capture, institutional inertia, and deliberate paralysis, a system that made it almost impossible for any president to actually govern. Trump's first term began chipping away at that structure. His second term is demolishing it. Through a relentless campaign of executive orders, the dismantling of rogue agencies, the gutting of weaponized bureaucracies, and the reassertion of direct presidential command over the entire executive branch, Trump is doing something genuinely revolutionary. He's restoring the Constitution's original architecture of power. And nowhere was that restoration more dramatically on display than this week, when Senate Democrats manufactured 42 days of airport chaos, betting that Trump was boxed in by legislative gridlock. And instead, he reached past the Senate entirely. He invoked his Article 2 emergency authority, and he ordered TSA agents paid immediately, before Congress could act, before Democrats could spin and before another American missed their flight. One post, one order, and the hostage crisis was over. Now, here's the big takeaway. Ready? If he did that with TSA funding, what do you think he's going to do with the SAVE Act? If he did that with TSA funding, what do you think he's going to do with voter ID? Gang, this is a presidency like no other. The first true presidency that we've seen in our lifetimes. He's doing things that we never even imagined were possible. And we still got nearly 3 more years left of it. This is what winning looks like. And I'm not even remotely tired of it.